right, we are in session 31, August 12th, 2026. Kapitel 36, moving right along. Meir hat sich aufgeheben. Meir got up. It's the transition between the political discussion and then the personal is very pleasant in this story. Durch ein offenem Fenster von sein Schlafzimmer hat geblasen a kalter Wind. Through the open window of his sleeping room, of his bedroom, I guess you would say, there was blowing a cold wind. Itzt wird schon onheben frieren. Now it would, this is he's thinking, now it would soon begin the cold weathers. Hat getracht, he thought. Und bald hat in Gedank ongeheben, organisieren die Arbeit. And immediately he began to, in his thoughts, he began to organize the work. Was es steht ihm vor, gedei zu sein great, which was ahead of him in order that he would be ready wenn der Frost wird fallen, when the frost would fall, would descend, herabzunehmen von Felder, to gather up, I gather, from the fields. I guess when the frost is there, you have to gather up what has grown. Die Ballensäck, was hat bestellt bei Horowitzen, the bales of sacks, I guess these were the things he was going to use to collect things, that he had put at Horowitz's place, hat schon bekommen mit etlicher Tag zurück. He had already taken these sacks several days before. Itzt wird onheben suchen noch Arbeit hent. Now he was going to begin to look for more workers, hand workers, und sich kommunizieren mit a paar Menschen, and beginning to communicate with some people, welche haben Dressmaschines. And he would begin to communicate with those who have threshing machines. I do not know what a threshing machine is. It's some agricultural machine that's used in the fields. Es wollen noch rübergehen a paar Wochen, ehe men wird können anheben, brechen de Milliskep. It would still be a few more weeks before one could begin to break the corn husks. Is that it? The corn heads, the corn, something from the corn. The corn husks.
The cobs, corn cobs.
Oh, the corn cobs. The corn cobs. That's right. That you could take off the corn cobs. Es darfen noch geben einige gute Brest, edel die Kep und die Millis wollen sein trocken genug herabzunehmen. Yeah. It would take a good couple of frosts, a good frost before the cobs of the millis kep, would be dry enough so that you could gather them. Derweil wird Onsteffen die Drotten von Apolzäumen. In the meantime, he would tighten the wires of a few bridles. Was seinen gewogen
fences.
Say again?
I think a few fences.
Okay, so he was going to do some work, making certain that everything was in proper order in his homestead. Was seinen gewogen Lois und verrichten dem Wand von Obdach. That had become loose. and he was going to uh, correct the walls of the Obdach, the shed, unter welchen es stehen seine Maschines, under which it was in this shed that his machine stood. Oiber is sich nicht teuer, darfen seine Felder liefern arum 8.006 millis. Very impressive. If he's not mistaken, his fields are going to supply about 8,000 sacks of corn. Mehr wie viel hat herabgenommen in de Friedickel 2 This was more than he had gathered in the 2 previous years. Zusammen mit die Kartoffel, Teff und Beblach wird es ihm reinbringen a hübsche Summe. Together with the potatoes, the teff, I don't know what teff is.
It's the kind of grass that they grew for feeding the livestock.
Okay, so a kind of some sort of something for the cattle and the beans. He was going to bring in a nice sum of money. So this is from a young man who wasn't so interested in money, but it seems to be on his mind a little bit. Ja, das wird ihm der Möglichen zu liquidieren seine Häufes. This was going to permit him to liquidate his loans, sich einzuschaffen neue Machines, to order new machines, vergrößern dem Seeshetach. I don't know what Zay is, to enlarge the,
No,
what is,
Zay is to sow.
his
It's
sawing.
the area that he's going to sow.
Yeah.
Oh, the area that he's going to sow. So his growing area. Efsher euch zu stellen a Milcherei, and perhaps also to establish a dairy section. Wird kaufen a pool sendlich Milchki. He's going to buy some tens of milk cows und schicken Milch mit Schmettener zum städtischen Markt. And he's going to send milk and Schmettener, I guess a sort of cream, a cream, very nice, to the city markets. Dan ob als wird gehen kashura, is that how you would say it? Kashura?
Mm-hmm.
Then, kashura, if everything goes straight and correct, wird der Hasene haben mit Linden. Then, if everything goes along properly, he's going to get married to Linda. Mit der Leubenisch von die Janches see on them. He's going to marry her with the permission of the Janches family or without it. Without it. Wegen dem hat sich schon verständigt mit ihr. This he had already arranged with Linda, how it was going to work. They had an agreement about this. Sein ganzer täglicher Leben is ausgefüllt mit der Kirche. So his whole daily life is filled now with the church. He's referring to Jansche. Und ihre Angelegenheiten and her activities, is that correct? Angelegenheiten.
Yeah, I think you left out a
oh,
line.
sorry. That's right. Jansche is mehr gewesen sicher. Jansche, Mayor was sure wird gewiss nicht maskim sein. Jansche, Mayer was sure, was not going to give his agreement. Früher hat sich noch gelassen reden. Earlier, he permitted himself to talk, or he talked. Aber seit ist reingenommen geworden in Komitee von der Kirchverwaltung, ist unmöglich sich zu verständigen, the same word that mit ihm. But ever since he has become involved with the committee of the church directors, board of directors, it's impossible to come to an agreement with him. The same word that used for coming to an agreement with Linda. Sein ganzes tägliches Leben ist ausgefüllt mit der Kirche und ihrer Angelegenheiten. Thank you for showing me that I had to skip that. His entire, that is, Jansch's entire daily life is now filled with the church and her activities. Es hat ausgesehen, als viel der Parlament hat genommen vernehmen bei ihm das zweite Ort noch der Kirche. It appeared that even the parliament hat genommen vernehmen was now in, I don't understand why it's genommen vernehmen. It was by him, yeah?
It
Chaya?
took.
It took the
and
second place. I understand the meaning of it, what he's saying, but I don't see why hat genommen vernehmen by him. The second place, noch der Kirche. In other words, the church was the first priority in his life. Even the parliament had become the second priority. Frau Jantscher hat ein Tag sich geklagt vor Linden. One day, Mrs. Jantscher complained to Linda. Dein Tate, hat sie gesagt, your father, she said, vernachlässigt a Sachsachen zu lieb seine kirchliche Esokim. Your father is neglecting many things because of his church activities. Ot is schon bald Zeit zu brechen Milis. Soon, it's time to break the corn, take the cobs.
I think the implication is it's time to harvest.
Yeah. And Mayer is right on it. He's right with it. A very practical young man. But Jansch is in another world at this point. But I'm just interested in the word ot. Soon, it's used there, but we'll see it used again in this paragraph. Wie mir doch sich hat noch nicht bestellt kein Sech. But it seems to me it's already the time for the harvest. It's already time to get busy with that. But it seems to me that he still hasn't gathered any sacks, just like Mayer already has gathered the sacks from Horowitz's place. Emmes, das Stickelfeld, was hat ausgeteilt, weil sich zu pflanzen Milis. It's true that the little piece of field that he left for himself to plant corn is nicht kein Größe. It's not a big area. He doesn't have a lot of a planting area. Aber der Fakt, als die Kirche fehlt jetzt euch sein ganzen Leben verunruhigt mir. But the fact that the church now fills his whole life makes me uncomfortable, makes me unhappy and uncomfortable. Mischt es zusammen mit seiner Politik. He's now mixing it in with his political views. Ought, the same word, but it has a different meaning here. There, it meant like soon, and here it means ought hat in Parlament gesucht. So here the ought, same word, but it has a different meaning. It's sort of like recently, not long ago, in Parliament, he had gesucht, als die Vierer von der neue Partei haben sich abgekehrt von der kirchlichen Lehre. Recently, in Parliament, he said that the leaders of the new party, which we discussed in the last session, had moved away from the church teachings. Der Rebbe willen sie schaffen an neuem Gläuben mit sehr neue Teures. Now, therefore, they want to produce a new belief, a new set of beliefs with their new, I guess, Teures meaning
Teachings.
text, yeah. Das ist doch Unsinn. This is certainly without brain. Aber im Mehren kümmert es nicht, but Meir, this doesn't bother him. Rührt ihm nicht an. None of this concerns him. Hat sich verständigt mit Linden, wie und was zu tun. He had already to come to an agreement with Linda, where and what to do. Und so wird es getan werden. And what he had made the arrangement with Linda, what they were going to do, and it was going to do Meg Jenscha afilu rufen die ganze Kirche zu sein Hilf, even if let Jansha even call the whole church to his side, to his power. So Meir is the man with his feet on the ground, and Jansha is in another world. So Chaya, continue, please.
Okay, I can't read much, and my translation is not good, but I'll try.
You do very well.
Okay. A ganzen Chodesh hat Meir sich gegräht. Meir prepared himself for a whole month. Hat bestellt a Dreschmaschine, angeklebt Proviant für die Arbeiter. He ordered a threshing machine. He chose, I don't know what proviant is.
I think provisions. He's getting...
Okay, für die Arbeiter, for the workers. Abgeledigt 2-3 Erter. He emptied 2 or 3 places, auf welche man beschieden die Cap, 2-3 places on which they can pour the heads of the corn from the mills und stellen die machine and put up the machine. Die Nacht seinen gewinn kalte, frostige. The nights were cold and freezing. Die breite grüne Blätter von die Millis und die Stammen seien geworden gäler. The wide green leaves of the corn and the stam, geza, I don't know how to say it in English.
The stalks.
They're whatever.
The stalks.
Ja, seien geworden gäler und weißer von Tag. They became yellower and whiter than days. Die Caps seien gehangen machtlos, lebenlos. The heads hang without power and without life, wie abgeschundene schepsene Fies in a Jatke, like not enough abgeschwundene feet of lambs.
No, Shinden is to flay, to take the skin off something. So it's the flayed feet of the sheep. Yeah.
Okay.
Schinden is it's
In a
like a
Jacke,
hunter.
in a butcher shop
Hmm.
und gewahrt, Hen soll kommen, sie befreien, and waited for hands to free them von their hanging position. It's funny, from their hanging position. Lang warten haben sie nicht gedacht. They didn't have to wait long. Unabhängig hat eine Armee schwarze Arbeiter, beginning of the month, a whole army of black workers, Männer und Frauen, men and women, jeder mit der Sack in Hand, hereingemarschiert in Meeresfelder. Everyone with a sack in his hand marched into Meers field, sich zerspreit zwischen die Reihen und bald hat sich zertrogen der trockener Krak. They spread out among the rows, and soon you could, it was in the air, the dry sound Krak, was das Brechen von die trockene Cap von die Milis hat gemacht, which the sound of the broken dry heads of the Milis made. Begleit mit dem trocken klingedicken Schorschen, accompanied with a dry sound. I don't know what Schorschen is.
Shoshan is the rustle.
Wrestler?
The rustle noise, the noise, a rustling noise.
I don't know. Okay. Was die
So,
Bewegung von die Arbeiter zwischen die Reihen Milles haben herausgerufen. That the movement of the workers among the rows brought out. Also gier wie a Sack ist voll geworden. As soon as the sack was full, hat der Arbeiter es gelassen liegen auf ein Ort und genommen einen zweiten erledigten Sack. The worker let it lie on the ground and took another empty sack. And I'm sorry, I can't read more.
but excuse me. So the way it works is they would take the corn cob and pull it right off the stalk there and put the corn cob in the sack. That's the way it would work. And
Right.
yeah, wow. Very labor intensive.
Labor was
Yeah.
cheaper than machines.
Well, at that time, soon it will all be robots, but yeah, at that time, yeah, labor was cheap. Yeah.
I can't read anymore, I'm sorry.
All right, I'll pick up. Durch Tag seinen hereingekommen Wegener. People with wagons came in throughout the day. Aufgeklebt die Fullersäck und der Loch ist ausgeschotten auf die bestimmte Erde der Fahrt. They collected the full sacks and after that scattered them or poured them out on the areas that were determined for the determined places to drop the mealies there. As I talk noch Tag, so day after day, sorry, bis alle Felder zijn naar opgenomen geworden until all the fields had been reaped. Everything had been taken off. Non zu Mayors Huis einen ausgewachsen Pyramiden mit Milis. Next to Mayor's house, pyramids of Milis grew up. Was haben geplant, mysteriös weiß, in Zunshayn that shone mysteriously white in the moonshine. Schrenim farmers seinen gekommen, neighbor farmers came, geschätzt die Zoll 6 Millis, was die Tosika Pyramiden wollen herausgeben, and they assessed the amount of bags of millis that this pyramid will produce. And is given neugierig. People were curious. Machtmas Meyer hat jenem Jahr abgeweicht von dem traditionellen Öfen von Pflanzenmillis. They were very curious because Meyer in that year had gone away from the traditional manner of planting mealies. Hat gepflanzt Schitterer. He didn't plant as closely. He planted less closely. Schitterer less. Gelossen mehr Räum sei gelossen mehr Räum sei zwischen die Reihen und sei zwischen die Kärtner. So he left more space between the rows and between the seeds. The Resultat is given. The result was größere und fullere Capmilis. The result was that the cobs had more kernels. Hagam die Quantitätsrea is given weniger. Although they had planted less, they reaped more. Es ist natürlich, what Meyer declared, it is natural, Meyer explained. Was Größeres ist der Schädach von Wannen der Korn und später der ganze Stamm ziehen die Jenika als starker, gesinnter und fruchtbarer ist der Samen. It is natural, said, explained Mayer, that the larger the area from which the corn and later the whole stalk gets its nourishment, the stronger and the healthier and the more fruitful will it be. I'm not sure what samen is, the seed. But any.
Why does he say von wannendem Korn? Here it says corn, and not.
No. This is interesting because South Africa is a drought country, and to get good corn, you have to plant further apart. In Canada, which has plenty of rain, they plant much closer, and they get the same results. So Meyer was an insightful farmer. Sorry.
Yeah. So he planted farther apart.
Farther apart, yeah.
Yeah.
En altijd gewend great what Meyer gemolden as die dressmachine kon kommen. When everything was ready, Meyer announced that the threshing machine can come. This is not given.
Excuse me, what is a threshing machine?
A threshing machine takes the kernels off the cobs.
Okay. So there was some industrialization or of the
mechanization, yes.
Yeah. Mechanization. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
This is not even growing Russian. It was still gray outside. Norbald hat a small weißer parts sich zerlegt auf dem Mizrach horizont, but soon a small white strip showed itself on the eastern horizon. A Killerwinkel hat geschockelt, langsam die Spitzen von Bämer. A cool wind slowly shook the tops of the trees und zertrieben dem weißen Räuch and drove away the white smoke or air, was hat sich schon gezeugen von ein paar claimants that were the smoke that was already stretching from a few chimneys. In der stiller Luft hat sich gehört das Knallen von Peitschen und das Bäse und unmutigen dicke Geschreien von Antreiber von Ochsengespannen. In the quiet air, you could hear the cracks of the whips, of the whips, and the angry, encouraging shouts of the people who were driving the oxen spans, the spans of oxen. Meir is given ungetan. Meir was dressed already. Is herausgekommen und geguckt in der Richtung, von wann der Tumult is gekommen. And he came out and he looked in the direction from where the noise was coming. Hat bemerkt, bei wirklichen Bergl, he saw a moving little hillock, a dunklen, a dark one. Hat gewusst, dass das kommt die Dreschmaschine. So he knew that the threshing machine was coming. Hinter dem Haus ist gewesen der Glock, was hat geweckt die Arbeiter und sie gerufen zu der Arbeit. Behind the house was the bell that woke the workers and called them to work. Meir hat erlangt 3 Klungen. Meir rang the bell 3 times, was einen bald zurückgekommen in an Abklang, and this came back in an echo soon. Von heiser und zeitweiliger Beidlen haben sich a Schott getan, Menschen gestalten, from houses and temporary booths, a stream, like Schotten, a stream poured out of human shapes. Einige seien noch gewesen inmitten von Anton. Some were still busy getting dressed. Anton sich und essen, getting dressed and eating, haben nur gerieben dem Schlaf von den Augen, and they were rubbing the sleep off their eyes. Der Mizrach ist derweil geworden heller, the east became clearer, lighter, lichtiger, lighter. Die einige Sterne, the few stars, welche haben verblasste sich noch gehalten auf dem Himmel. The few stars that were still palely remaining in the heaven, seien euch verschwunden, also disappeared. Die Lagone, Amida, the moon, tired, verschlafene, weary, hat sich noch gehalten in der Heuch, still remained up in the heaven, bin nicht sicher bei sich, sie soll sich losen. Kein Meirev oder kein zurück, von wann sie ist gekommen. The moon was up high and not quite sure whether she should go back to the west or return to the place from which she has come. Der Windel hat sich gestarkt, the wind, the breeze got stronger, geblasen kalt, blew cold, aber beim Aufgehen von der Sonne hat sich es im Ganzen eingestellt. But with the sunrise, this little breeze quietened down completely. Die Dreschmaschine, the threshing machine, rot geworden, painted red, ist angekommen mit Buschmann Kopperweg, came along the road from Bushman's Kop. 16 oxen haben es gezeugen. 16 oxen were dragging it. Der Maschinist hat abgestellt ein paar Arbeiter. The mechanic put down a few workers. They sollen ausgraben längliche arenas that they should dig out lengthwise furrows or gutters, in welche die Räder von Maschinen sollen sich reinpassen, into which the wheels of the machine should fit. Die Vibratio soll es nicht herauswerfen von seiner Position. This was so that the vibrations should not throw it out of its position, oder auch viele überkehren, and even turn it over. Okay, I'll do one more paragraph and then I think over to Jakob. Die Sonne ist schon gestanden, hoch und gewärmt, weiß alle Hachones seinen Schein gewinn gemacht. The sun was already standing fairly high and warmed while all the preparations were made. Man hat untergeheizt dem Lokomotiv. They set up a fire, they warmed up the locomotive. The Arbeit is zerteilt geworden and labor was divided among everyone. Die welche haben gedacht, liefern Kebmilis to machine, those who would have to deliver cobs of corn to the machine, and die welche wollen darfen Achtung geben, als die Kärtner, welche schitten sich in die Säck, sollen sich nicht rüberschitten, and those who would have to be careful and look after that the kernels, which will be pouring, scattering out, that will be pouring into the sacks, should not pour out of the sacks. And when they saw Sack werd voll es übergeben zu jener welche Wellness vernähen mit größer Säcknodeln und spezieller Stricklich und take unhängen andere ledige und take unhängen andere ledige Säck. And so there were those and when the sack is full, and they will give it over to the other workers who will sew up with large needles that they use to sew up these sacks and special string, and right away they will start at the machine with new empty sacks. So there's a stream of workers, and it's like somebody puts the corn into the machine, somebody collects the kernels, hands it to others who sew up the sacks, and then they put in a new sack at the machine. And it's over to you, Jakob. Thanks.
No, I want to ask a question about the process. So the corn is picked in the fields and put in the sacks. And then somehow there were pyramids of these cobs.
Yeah, of these cobs. They had special bestimmten Plätze. They designated places where you would pile the cobs.
So you would take them out of the sacks after they had been put in the sacks by the workers, then they've been taken out and put here, and then the threshing machine comes and does the dividing, takes the kernels off the cob.
Right.
Is that correct? And then puts it back into the sacks. So
No,
the sacks,
they're just kernels in the sack. No, they're not cobs anymore.
right. So there are two times the sacks are used. They're used to collect the corn, and then they're used once the kernels are coming off the cobs.
That sounds, but that's what.
Now, do you really know this, Moshe?
I don't really know this because we're talking about farming in
100 years ago, 100 years ago,
Right.
more than 100 years ago. More, because it's 1910 when this union was formed,
No,
and we're in 2026, so it's like 115 years ago. But
no, but
all right.
Mayer was obviously a progressive farmer. He'd read about it.
Oh no, he's a smart chap. But I'm just interested in the process, how the sacks are used. We have the sacks used for this, and then it's emptied, and the sacks are used again. All right.
I don't know how they do it today. Maybe Jakob knows.
Yeah. Well, nicht so
Yeah, well,
wichtig.
I think the process is the same. It's just probably more mechanized today.
Mechanized. Yeah. Yeah.
You wouldn't
Okay.
have people sewing the sacks. You would have a machine that would sew up the sacks that
Yeah.
are full of kernels.
Okay.
Okay. Wenn der Lokomotiv hat schon gehabt genug Treibkraft, hat man die breite lederne Bänder reingeworfen,
Arribergeworfen.
A rübergeworfen.
rübergeworfen von großen Lokomotivrad auf ein Rod. So when the locomotive had developed sufficient, it's probably it's a steam locomotive, a steam engine. When it had developed sufficient power, they took the broad leather bands and threw them over the large locomotive wheel of a rod on the wheel von der Dreschmaschine. So that was connecting the locomotive to the wheel of the thrashing machine. Der Maschinist hat a Ziegetonner Drott. The engineer, the person who was working the machine, pulled a wire. A hilchike, schneidendike Pfeif hat gemolden, als man soll sein great. Man fangt an dreschen. A resounding, piercing whistle announced that people should be ready, prepared. The threshing process was about to begin. Bald nachdem hat die Dreschmaschine angefangen vibrieren, zittern, sich träuseln und brummen. So immediately after this, the threshing machine began to vibrate, to shiver, and träuseln, also shake, und brummen mit anigen, and it hummed with a melody. Was hat gekonnt heißen? Was soll ich tun? Als a koiach größer von meinem treibt mich. So this melody, which could have said, what should I do? A force which is greater than me is driving me. Und es hat euch gekonnt meinen, and it could also have meant, ich arbeite mit alle Keuches, besorg euch mit Chayuna. I'm working with all my strength to give you to give you livelihood mit Bequemlichkeit, to give you a livelihood with ease. Aber was kommt mir heraus davon? But what do I get out of this? An auf herrliche Stromkep-Millis, was a riesiger Hogelsturm, wie a riesiger Hogelsturm, an unending stream of millicobs, like a giant hailstorm, hat sich geschotten in machine. It poured into the machine. Die Maschine hat geschält die Kep. The machine peeled the millicobs. Zerblossen die Blätter. It blew aside the leaves.
Eaves.
Und die zerbrochene Stammen to eine side, and the broken stems, it blew them to the one side. Und ungefüllt Sack noch Sack mit Kerner Millis von der zweiten. And it filled up bag after bag with kernels, of milli kernels on the other side. So it's splitting the cobs and the leaves on the one side and the milli kernels on the other side. Langsam hat ein Pyramidkep sich gemindert. Very slowly, one of the pyramids of the millicobs became smaller. A zweiter, and a second one, sich herabgelassen, wie man wird dem Boden unter sie zernommen.
I'm lost in the imagery. I had it for a while now. Slowly.
Yeah, I think this word gemindert, it means it stimulates. Very slowly, one pyramid of millicobs was, I've understood it as became smaller. And the second one, it let itself down as if the ground underneath it had subsided. I'm not 100% sure of what that means.
Yeah.
Okay. Arum 12 dem Sieger hat man sich abgestellt. At about 12 o'clock, they stopped. Der Kucher, welcher hat gehabt, die Aufgabe zu besorgen, die schwarze Arbeiter mit Essen, the chef who had the task of providing the black workers with food, is gewinn great. He was prepared, he was ready. Pap mit Säurenmilch.
Here's your pop.
Yeah. So this stiff porridge with sour milk und stücklich Fleisch for jederen, and bits of meat for each one. Brood mit jam, bread with jam. Und heißen Tee mit milk, and hot tea with milk. This is what they were given for lunch. Die paar weiße Arbeiter haben gegessen mit mehreren bei ihm in Haus. The few white workers ate at Meyer's house. Satte und ausgeruhte haben die Arbeiter energisch und lebendig sich bewegt, so satisfied and rested. The workers moved energetically and in a lively manner, gekormet, well fed. Gekormet die dreschmachine, and they fed the thrashing machine mit flates von kip, and they fed the thrashing machine with a flood of corn cobs, millie cobs, haben untergesungen und geflittert inzwischen mit einer fette schwarz, geflirtet inzwischen mit die fette schwarze Mädler. They sang along and they flirted in the meantime with the fat black young women. Women's Arbeit is given zu vernähen die volle Säck mit Millis. And their job, the girls, the women, the young women's jobs was to sew up the sacks with the full sacks of millis to sew them up. Die Sun is schön gewinn nicht weit von horizont. The sun was not far from the horizon. Wenn die Arbeit hat sich abgestellt, when the work stopped. Der Maschinist hat herausgescharrt die heiße Keilen von Lokomotiv. The machinist raked out the hot coals from the locomotive. Und rübergezogen Gefechten Zudeck über ein Dreschmaschine. And he pulled over I'm not sure what this Gefechten is, a woven cover over the thrashing machine.
Mm-hmm.
Is anybody got an idea what the Gefechten Zudeck might mean?
Well, the Sudek we know, but
No, I agree with you about the Gefechten, but I'm looking it up just to make sure. I think you're right about the woven, but I'll look it up.
Okay, I couldn't find it in my dictionary.
Don't have it here either. So, but I didn't understand why you were doubtful about your translation, about some of the pyramids were smaller and some of them, the ground had disappeared. Why did you doubt your translation?
It didn't seem to make sense to me at the time that I read it.
No, some were lower and some disappeared. No, I think
okay.
I think you were right on. Okay.
Okay. Reihen sich mit Millis seinen gestanden wie Soldaten. So rows of sacks of millis stood like soldiers. Great auf den Befehl von their Offizier. They were prepared, ready for the order of their officer. So, Kapitel 37. I think, David, perhaps you'd like to read?
Ja, dank, ja. Kapitel 37. In Heder, was Lippmann hat angeordnet, in the schoolroom that Lippmann set up, haben sich gefunden, noch ein Mescher von Hatosham, 8 Kinder von 8 bis 11 Jahre alt. In this classroom, you found 8 to 8 children from 8 to 11 in age over the course of months. In Unahom, Bushman Club, seinen gewähnt 4 mehr jüdische Kinder In and around Bushmankow, there were many more Jewish children. Aber sie seien gewesen viel älter. Aber they were much older. Andere haben schon besucht Hochschule in Stadt. Some of them, other ones, were, I guess, searching out a high school in the city. Und andere haben gearbeitet mit ihrer Eltern in Geschäft, sie auf dem Farm. And still others of these Jewish children worked with their parents in the business or on a farm. Die Kinder seien gekommen in Cheder Nachmittag. The children came to the Cheder Jewish school in the afternoon. Kommen die von der Allgemeine Schule. Yeah, coming from, the Allgemeine, the general or, secular school, I guess. Lippmann hat die 8 Kinder eingeordnet in 2 Klassen. 5 und 3. So Lippmann put the children in 2 classes, 5 and 3. That's grades 5 and 3, I guess. Ist nicht gewohnt, zu haben so wenig Kinder und solche kleine Klassen. He wasn't accustomed to having so few children and so few children, so few classes. Aber seien die ernst, aufrichtig und getreu sein Fach, hat sich genommen, lernen mit den Kindern, mit demselben Eifer und Übergebenkeit. So, but being serious and I guess aufrichtig, right, I guess.
Honest.
Honest, that's upright, honest, upright. Being serious and an honest person, and loyal to his profession. He started teaching the children with the same I guess the same passion or enthusiasm, I guess. Eifer und Übergebenkeit. Wie wollte gehabt, für sich a class von 20 oder 30 Kinder. So he the same passion that he would have for a much bigger class of maybe 20 or 30 children. In einem Cheder hat verbracht 2-3 Show. In the Cheder school, he spent maybe 2 or 3 hours. Hat gelernt mit kiemat jeden besonder. He taught pretty much everyone separately. The Rieker mit die Anfänger. I mean, especially with the beginners. Aber bald von Anfang ist ihm ausgekommen zu führen einen Kampf mit seiner Balabatim. But quickly at the beginning, an onreg is he managed to have to lead or have a struggle with his bosses. Is reingefahren in Stadt und gebracht mit sich hat so Lernbücher für Anfänger und etliche ältere Kinder, Geschichten, Meiselach, Liederlach für Kinder. So, have it here. So he traveled into the city and brought with him, he brought back a number of, textbooks for beginners, and for beginners and older children, histories, stories, songs for children, so forth. Er zijn dem Auswahlbücher hat Wassermann, der Dentist, welcher is gewend oder besser, hat sich alleen bestimmt für een Vorsitzender voor dem Komitee. So, having seen this selection of books, Wasserman, the dentist, who was, or better to say, had installed himself as chairman of the committee, the education committee, was hat sich geschaffen zu besorgen dem Scheuchet, hat gefragt. So he's the head of this, installed himself as the chairman of this committee, and he and decided to was hat, which was in charge of providing for the Scheuchet. He asked, wie seien die Sidurim? Say, wo seien die Sidurim? Die Chomoshem, wird ihr gar nicht lernen, die
Chamashim.
Kinder, Hamashim, Dank. Wird ihr gar nicht lernen, die Kinder davenen und Chumash? So he was, I guess, concerned, I guess, in this hater. You didn't buy any, prayer books and Torah textbooks to teach the children. It's all the secular knowledge, I guess. A bissel weiter, or does someone else want to read? Or
Go ahead.
oh, here you go. Yeah, Avada Vetter learn. Certainly, they're going to learn. Hat Liebman versichert. Lippmann reassured him. Versichert. Aber es ist wichtig, hat zugegeben, als beim Daviden sollen die Kinder verstehen, was sie sagen. But it's very important that Lippmann added that while davening, the children should understand what they are saying. Hebräisch. Legt darüber vor, zu lernen, sie für die Sprache. So he proposed, therefore, that he should teach them the language first, fear. Die Dosika, die Mutter, seien doch in ganzen fremd, die Kinder, will ihr sie reinziehen und verinteressieren sie durch die Meißelach und Niederlach. So he wanted to attract or pull them in. Let's say, where is it? These very subjects. These subjects are kind of strange to the children. So he wants to pull them in and interest them through the stories and songs. Like it's the wenn das Kind ist interessiert, lernt sich besser und progressiert. So when a child is interested, he learns better and progresses faster. Später wird man ihm langsam rein in schwerer Lemudem und tiefere Unionen. Later, one can lead the student slowly into more difficult subjects and deeper matters to discuss. Verlass sich auf mir. Rely on me, hat sie gesagt. He told them. Ich habe Jahren Erfahrung in mein Fach. I have many years of experience in my profession. Hurwitz, Benny der Schmid, und Reismann haben Masken gewinnt mit Lippmannen. So Hurwitz, Benny, the blacksmith, Reisman, they were all in agreement with Lippmann. Lippmannen hat gefragt, was Hurwitz is auf sein Seite. Lippmann was very happy that Hurwitz was on his side. Sind Mayer hat ihm gehetzt zu Schadkannen, to Leah Hurwitz. Since Mayer, advised him to make a match with Leah Hurwitz. Hat Lippmann gesucht und ausgenutzt jede Gelegenheit zu gewinnen für sich die Freundschaft von Horowitz und sein Freund. So this reason he searched out every opportunity to use every opportunity to win for himself a friendship with Hurwitz and his wife. Je had verbracht Ovend bij zij in huis. Ovend in huis, je had gewusst, als wenn men interessiert sich mit jenems Leben und Überlebungen und man vertraut sich zu ihm mit eigenem Schicksal, gewinnt men Freund. So, and he had spent evenings at their house, and he knew that when one gets interested, you get interested with that person's life and their experiences, and that you. Like way to translate vertreut to endear, or what did you say?
Confide.
Yeah.
You confide something. You entrust.
Entrust. Yeah, entrust. Entrust himself to his own. That. Yeah, you try to entrust or match your life to his schicksal, his path in life, his destiny. You win friends. Over viele nur zeitweiliger Freund. Even if it's just like a temporary friends. And das hat getan. And that's what he did. Hat zij ausgefragt wegen sehr vergangenem Leben und geduldig ausgehört aus. Frau Hurwitz hat gehad zu erzählen von ihr Alter, Heim und Hurwitz. So he asked about their past life and patiently listened, out everything what Hurwitz, but Mrs. Hurwitz had to tell from her, for her old home, I guess, back in Europe. And Hurwitz, Hurwitz, seine Überlebungen und Erfahrungen in Africa. And Hurwitz says his experiences, I guess, Überlebungen und Erfahrungen, experiences in Africa. Lippmann hat sie erzählt von seiner Familie, seine Yeshiva-Tag und andere. Okay. So Lippmann told them about himself, about his family and his yeshiva days, and other things. Beide, Hurwitz und sein Freund. Both Mr. and Mrs. Hurwitz haben Masken gewinnen, als der Scheuchet is a voiler Mensch. They were both in agreement that the Scheuchet, the Scheuchet was a good person. Leah ist ständig gewesen dabei, sie zugehört, und oft euch etwas gesagt oder erzählt. Leah was always there, listening, and often said or told something. So she was always there to speak to, I guess. Aber Lippmann hat gemerkt, sie ist nicht interessiert in him. But Lippmann noted that she did not seem so interested in him. Okay, so yeah, Leah was there around to ask questions, but didn't seem so interested in him. Hat gesehen, wie ihre Augen pflegen sich ansehen mit der Liebe Feiro und das Ponem fleckt aufscheinen, wenn Winkelstein, der Ungestellte, lässt sich beweisen in Heu. Okay, well, I guess here's the problem. So he saw how her eyes used to light up with the, I guess, the fire of love, with passion, and her face would shine into light up. I don't know a better way to translate that. Shine into perk up, light up, I guess. When Finkelstein, the employee, used to show up in the house. Ja, Lippmannen hat es gewundert. Finkelstein, Niederich, Mulger. Lippmannen was amazed, was astonished, I guess. Gewundert, gewundert. Finkelstein is short, thin, Emmis, the Henter.
Begenter.
Behenter. Does that mean like a charming person?
Yeah.
Ja.
Mit gekreuzten Kopf or via ships. So he is charming. I guess he has curly head of hair, just like a sheep. Was men hat at sight showing nicht shorn, which Stillman has never cut in a long time. Ober a posher bocher, leent romantische Bücher, but he's just a simple young man. He reads romantic books. Was hat Leah Azoins gefunden in him? What did Leah see and find in him? As sie liebt him, that she would love him. Wer weiß, who knows? Who knew? Wer kon rein dringen in der Neshama von a Mädel oder Epoche verstehen dem biologischen Prozess. So who can I guess force into the can
Penetrate. Who can penetrate?
penetrate, yes, thank you, force into, yeah, penetrate into the soul of a girl or a boy to understand this biological process. Was bindt man und Frau zusammen, which ties a man and woman together. Ja, Frau Horowitz hat ihm gefragt, einigemal verwas hat nicht Hasana. Yeah, indeed. Mrs. Hurwitz asked him not a few times, why isn't he married? Und hat geantwortet mit einem banalen Entfer, als man kann nicht Hasana haben allein. And he answered with the rather banal, ordinary answer, one cannot get married alone. Und darüber muss warten, bis es wird sich javen die Bescherte. And you just have to wait until you you meet your bashert, your destined mate. Efter hat Lippmann getracht, Boten Leas, Eltern sein zufrieden zu haben im Vereinigen. Perhaps Lippmann thought, would Leah's parents would be happy, would be delighted or satisfied to have him for a son-in-law. Aber sie seien sicher aufmerksam zum Fakt, als Leah wird sein mehr zufrieden mit Finkelstein, oder mit him. But they were certainly have observed, I guess, they were certainly aware to the fact that Leah would be much more satisfied with Finkelstein than before choosing him. Hat sich darüber Mayesh gewen von Wern Hurwitz's Adam. So he He didn't. I guess he despaired of becoming his son-in-law. Ja. Seine Gedanken haben sich gezogen in an andere Richtung, business. So his thoughts, were pulled into another direction, his business.